Alrighty, people, welcome in. The combine is happening. I'm looking at Jack Kelly right now, who's about to run the 40-yard dash, a linebacker from BYU. Arvell Reese is an absolute monster from everything we've seen. Same with Sonny Styles. Combine's on. Unfortunately, no Dynasty relevant players unless you play in IDP leagues, but it is fun, obviously, to see Daniel Jeremiah up there, Rich Eisen. And we are going to be jumping into a Dynasty startup mock draft on today's stream. I would love for you guys to join me. A little bit of an update here, okay? You can see on the top of your screen, 40 in a week Feb. We're at 27. We're at 27, ladies and gentlemen. And it is currently the 26th of Feb where you guys are, which means that we have 2.5 days to get to 40. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll get there or not with the 40 in a week Feb initiative, but you can obviously contribute to that initiative today by either becoming an annual by the Flocker member or buying a team playbook on the Flock site. Let me know who I'm hanging out with here. What's up, Sparrow? What's up, Mitch? Scribbles is in the building. We've got Noah in the building. NJ says ready for the mock in the Apollo League. That's right. Connor says he's winning the giveaway today. Let's see, Connor. Let's see. It could be you. Very well could be you. What's up, Styles? Welcome in. What's up, Joe Dav? Welcome into the building. That's right. We are going to do a startup mock draft today. You guys will have every opportunity to join me in the startup mock draft. Let's go ahead and get that starting to fill while we are talking about the combine. If you want to join this mock draft, I would say first step is to create a free account on the Flock site. Just use the promo code LAND at sign up. Let me put a link in the chat there for that in case anybody out there doesn't have an account yet. Again, here's a link to a free account. You can also see our Discord there. But if you guys are wanting to get into this startup mock draft, then in our Discord, under the land tab, okay, you're going to see a mock draft channel. And a lot of people are doing mock drafts in here all the time. It's a great resource if you're ever wanting to mock draft with people in the community. Constantly, people are sending out links and joining mock drafts and having fun. I'm going to put the mock draft link for this startup draft right here in the mock drafts channel on the Discord. And it is going to be first come, first serve, which we love to see it. What's up, Homa? In the building. What's up, Papa Dunk? In the building. Good evening, Matthew. In the building. What's up, Noah? Says just subscribe to it. Love to hear that, my friend. Let me know what your username is, and we will hook you up. The Commanders released Tyler Biadasz, in case anybody cares. I don't think anybody does, but in case you do care, the Commanders released Tyler Biadasz. We're going to get into a startup draft here. Wow, I didn't expect that to fill so fast. We have one spot remaining. And then, of course, at the end of today's stream, or right after the mock draft, we are going to raffle off the spots for the Apollo League. This is a league that will draft this Monday. Okay, now, again, if you're not aware of what I'm talking about here, we have real land community dynasty leagues that you can be a part of, and they are happening every single Monday. Not only are we live streaming the real drafts every single Monday in these real leagues, but we're also releasing a brand new league that you can sign up to every single Monday. Okay, the steps are very simple. Have to be an annual Mother Flocker member. Then you have to sync your Discord. You'll find the Land Leagues tab there, where every single week you can sign up to be a part of a brand new Dynasty League. We'll be raffling off the Apollo League spots tonight. Now, if you sign up and you're a brand new member and you're not in a league yet, feel free to DM me. I want to fast track you into a league. But in honor of the Apollo League, we are going to raffle off a live team playbook. And y'all know what the code word is, I'm sure. The steps to enter are to like the stream and type Apollo into the chat. Those are the two easy steps for you to enter to win a live team playbook on tonight's stream. Okay, are we full? We are full. So let's go ahead and jump into this 12-team Superflex startup mock draft. 12-team Superflex startup mock draft as Josh Allen goes off the board at the 101. I don't know how many people watched the Poseidon League, which we live streamed on Monday, but Josh Allen went the 106. And we were all like, what is happening? It was a crazy draft, but I'm glad we were able to show it to you guys. After that, we got Jamar Chase coming off the board. Mr. Bijan Robinson. No surprise there. Has anyone really stood out at the combine so far, guys? Has anyone stood out? I've been seeing the memes about Ruben Bain's arm length. But I don't typically watch as much of the defensive side of things as I do the offensive side of things for the combine. Jamar Chase off the board. Bijan Robinson, Drake May, Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua. My wide receiver one goes all the way to the 107. Styles is getting Drake May, baby. Oh, I see you, Noah. ABCD is my username on the Flock site. Yeah, man. I saw you. You contributed to 40 in a week Feb as well. Shout out to you, my dude. Also, if you want to get fast-tracked into tonight's league, we have 6 spots right now. But if you want to get fast-tracked into tonight's league and you're a brand new member and you're not in the league yet, then all I need you to do is to fill out this form here, my friend, and then tell me that you filled it out. Give me your username, and I'll make sure that I fast-track you into this league and guarantee you a spot. All right. I'm on the clock here. I'm probably going to grab Lamar Jackson. Yeah, we'll grab Lamar Jackson here. No reversal for this one. I was surprised how many people were anti-reversal on our last stream. I don't have a strong opinion on it, but again, I was just surprised how many people were so vocal, like, nah, I'm not with the reversal. Okay, so after I go Lamar Jackson, we have Burrow, Lamb, Neighbors, and London. Wow, Neighbors and London go back-to-back pretty much. Yeah, wow. A lot of options here. I'll grab the 101 here. Between the 101 and Ginty, I was going to go one of those ways. Let's see how it feels to grab the 101. We were in our real draft on Monday. We saw, I believe, the 101 go as high as the 110. Let me see if I can find that link for the draft that happened on Monday. That was shocking to see. Let's see. I think I have the draft board here. Yes, this is from Monday's draft in the Poseidon League. And yeah, we saw Jeremiah Love go off the board at the 110, which was a big shocker. Remember, Drake May at the 1.5, Josh Allen at the 1.6. Was like, damn. Justin Jefferson off the board at the 204, Caleb Williams at the 205, Ashton Ginty at the 206, Devon Achane at the 207. Nothing too crazy here. I mean, you can make a strong case for a couple of these names, I would say. Brock Bowers off the board as well. So we get our first tight end at the 208. I do think, yeah, that's like we'll say like 0.5 tight end premium for this. But these mock drafts are always different than the real drafts. In these mock drafts, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarterbacks in the first round. Whereas we had just 3 quarterbacks in the first round on Monday in this real draft in Poseidon. I don't know why, in real drafts we're seeing these quarterbacks drop so far, but we are. Yeah, I just noticed that as well. Sparrow says London before JJ. Wow. A little bit shocking. To go May and Hurts to start, I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Mills is starting double running back. Double cheeked up. Double cheeked up at running back here, which you love to see. Over again, don't make me change my mind. Trey McBride at the 211. Kovner here starting Jamar Chase, Trey McBride. What's up, Noah? He says, how early do you think Malik Willis should go in a startup? Oh, that'll be a fun conversation to have today. Yes, all reports are that Malik Willis is set to get a nice little bag here in free agency. He's going to be, which is why we brought him in quite a few trade videos last month and this month as well. But he's expected, I think the number was around $30 million a year. Let me double check. Yeah, this is from Jordan Schultz. So Malik Willis anticipated to get about $30 million per year. And this is based off of who Jordan Schultz talked to at the Combine. At least $30 million a year. And he's saying it's a foregone conclusion. And when you think about those teams that might be willing to pay him, I mean, we heard that the Cardinals are a potential team. I don't really understand why the Cardinals would pay him $30 million while also, you know, having Kyler Murray on the roster, but I guess it doesn't matter what I think. I don't really understand that idea. What other teams could make sense? We've talked about this on a previous stream, but the Dolphins could make sense. The Jets, if you're looking for like a bridge option for those two names. We have heard that the Browns are intrigued. The Vikings, I haven't really heard the Vikings are interested. The Steelers would probably be interested as well. I don't imagine the NFC South being interested. I think the Falcons are going to go with Penix, but have a backup, a backup veteran quarterback is what I imagine. That's the route that they take. Yeah, so it's either going to be Cardinals, Steelers, Browns, Jets, Dolphins. I think it's one of those teams that make the most sense. So I guess it depends on where he lands. And that will probably heavily determine how we value him in startups. As Olave comes off the board, I've got Lamar Jackson and Jeremiah Love. Plenty of good players still available here. Man, I'm not really sold on anyone here in particular. I'll just grab Brock Purdy because I prefer Brock Purdy over some of the quarterbacks available, and I would rather see what comes back. I'm more comfortable to see what comes back than to kind of risk it on that position. June, what's up? Says, I got Daniels, JJ, and Hurts with my 3 picks in a startup at the 110. I like it. Daniels, you're saying Daniels, JJ, as in Justin Jefferson, and Jalen Hurts? That's pretty impressive. Wait, so who fell to the 310 then? Or was it a third round reversal? It must be a third round reversal, surely then. Steelers for Malik Willis could be interesting, especially with Mike McCarthy. At least you have DK Metcalf. You know that he would have plenty of rushing floor there. So I don't think we can view the Steelers as like how we used to view them, just this really bad offense to be a part of. James Cook is a great pick. That's definitely who I was eyeing up for my selection. But yeah, I'll grab a little Emeka Egbuka here. I'll grab Emeka Egbuka. So we start Lamar Jackson, Jeremiah Love, Brock Purdy, Emeka Egbuka, and let's see how we build out the rest of this roster. June, I'm really curious to know who fell that far. Seems like you got a pretty good value. Saucerlies, I'm probably saying that wrong, says, I don't understand why people are taking Loveland so high. Well, Loveland just had an insane end of the 2026 or 2025 season. I mean, he truly took off in every sense of the word. I remember doing a video on him recently. Let me pull up some stats for you guys here real fast on Colson Loveland, because his like final 4-game stretch was ridiculous. I mean, he was so dominant that I think people are relying on that to translate, when you look at the rest of his career and going into year 2. Okay, I have it here. Colson Loveland, in his last 4 games, had 28 catches, 378 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Now, that was 2 regular season games versus San Fran and Detroit, and also 2 postseason games versus the Packers and the Rams. And I mean, that people are expecting him to be utilized like that heading into year number 2. I guess is how I could answer that statement. If you think about it, his last 4 games, again, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has a 17-game pace of 119 catches. 119 catches. 1,600 yards and 9 touchdowns. So I think it's just people are expecting him to, really break out in year number 2. In the playoffs, by the way, versus the Packers, he had 8 catches, 137 yards. Then versus the Rams, 4 catches, 56 yards. But man, the Bears just need to figure out their efficiency, because their receivers are catching these balls at such a low rate. And I don't really think it's all their fault either. But definitely something that needs to be addressed in the future. Hey guys, appreciate y'all joining me. We are going to be raffling off spots for the Apollo League here. And we are doing a giveaway today. If you haven't entered today's giveaway, very simple. In order to win a live team playbook, all you have to do is simply like the stream, type Apollo, and then you are good to go for today's giveaway. We'll do that giveaway after the startup mock drafts have concluded. Okay, after I took Ibuka, we see a run of receivers here. Higgins, McConkey, then Bucky the 103, but Thomas, Adunze, Marvin Harrison, Luther Burden in the 5th round. Mills got a great value on Bo Nix at the 410. Yeah, Bo Nix at the 410 is a little bit ridiculous, I think. Little bit ridiculous in my opinion. Arvell Reese runs a 4.47 40-yard dash. Man, them boys at Ohio State, they were fed something. Marvin at the 4.11, then the 104 comes off the board. That I do find that interesting that Marvin goes ahead of the 104. Because while everyone doesn't love the 26 class, I do feel like people like the top 5 picks a lot. So I don't know. That's an interesting question maybe we should ask. Would you rather have Marvin Harrison or the 104? I thought I knew where the community would stand on that, but I could be wrong. The 104, then we get Breece Hall, CMC at the 502, ahead of Luther Burden, ahead of Judkins. Rashee Rice at the 505, obviously getting in trouble with the law is the reason he's falling that far. 105 is a great value here for Fried Donut. Okay. Oof. There's some great options available here. I don't think I can pass up on Cam Scattaboo, so we're going to grab Cam Scattaboo here as our RB2 behind Jeremiah Love. Okay, 10 votes in, and it's a 50-50 split. Wow. I didn't expect that many people to be this high on Marvin. Am I too low on Marvin? I might be too low on Marvin then. After Cam, we get Javonte Williams, Jameson Williams, the opposite way. Baker Mayfield. I definitely wish I would have had Javonte come back to me, but that's okay. I like the move by NJ Casanova, and the fact that Casanova gets Baker Mayfield at the 601 is ridiculous. Look at the team Casanova's building. My gosh. I'm so annoyed I took Brock Purdy at the 310 when Jared Goff's available this late. Like, what the heck, man? Look, I'm not the biggest Zay Flowers guy. At the same time, I feel comfortable taking him here at the 603. I do wonder if the coaching change in Baltimore, both at head coach and offensive coordinator, could change the offense. Could that be a positive for Zay Flowers? It's something I've been thinking about lately. But I love this run of running back here, by the way, from like the 5th round onwards. The Breece Halls, the Scadaboos, Browns, Judkins, Jamesons, Javantes, Ken Walkers. I really like that run. If Casanova can get a quarterback too here, that's a nasty squad that he's building. But Goff, what an incredible value. Fried Donuts killing the game right now, by the way. Maybe having the best draft of anyone here. Mike is saying Marv. Connor says Marv isn't the wide receiver 3 in this class. Are you saying he's better or worse? Mike says he's stupidly high on Marv. Scribble says Marv. June says would rather wait for landing spot. Style says the 104 for me. Marv has just been frustrating. 104 is probably worth more in the market. Connor says I'm way too low on Marv. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think we're all asking the wrong question when it's not even that I'm worried about, Michael Wilson or anything. I think people are asking the wrong question when they say, well, what about Michael Wilson? I think that's the wrong question. I think the right question is, what is the wide receiver 2 really worth? Because you're not going to overtake Trey McBride. Yeah. Jared Goff, Jordan Love off the board. Harold Fannin in the 6th is a fun pick and a tight end premium. Saquon in the 6th. Nice little team Mr. Ghost is building up there. Connor says he won't re-sign in Arizona if it stays this way. Yeah, but I mean, what will his market value be? I mean, let's be for real. If Marvin doesn't sign in Arizona, then that means that Arizona didn't think that he was worth paying a certain amount of money, which means the production probably wasn't there. How far into his career are you at that point where you're hoping that a second team is going to revive him? I don't know. I don't love that process personally. Like if you're betting on Marvin Harrison and, one of your big talking points is, well, think about his next team. I don't love that as a reason to draft him. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Wasn't that George Pickens? I mean, George Pickens was traded. Do you expect the Cardinals to trade Marvin? George Pickens also went to the absolute perfect environment. I mean, if George Pickens was traded to Miami last year, how excited would you have been about that? I find it hard to like copy and paste that, but maybe. That's a hard thing to live off of. Joe says he's living off his daddy's name. Scribble says, I just believe in the talent of Marv, and I think you would have seen some great numbers if he stayed healthy in the second half. I agree with that. Scribbles. I don't think that's unfair to say. A.J. Brown at the 608. Devontae Adams at the 610 was a little surprising to me. Darnold, Kyron Williams, Waddle, Jacobs, Hunter, all gone. Scribble says, y'all act like Marv has been in the league for 8 years. He's had 1.5 seasons. Yeah, I mean, I understand that sentiment, but you're also risking the more that you invest in Marv without seeing a return, the more risk you're assuming, in my opinion. Like, what does Marv need to do this year for people to reassess him as like a potential top 10 dynasty wide receiver? I think he needs to have a top 12 finish. And again, I keep asking the question, is there even a top 12 finish available at wide receiver in Arizona? I'm not sure there is. With Trey McBride there, with no quarterback that you can really rely on, who knows what they do at quarterback? I don't know. I mean, if Marvin Harrison comes out and finishes as the wide receiver 28 in fantasy this year, do you think he goes higher or lower than the 411 next year? I think that's an important question to ask. And I would struggle to say he goes higher. All right, look, I am not a real big RJ Harvey guy, but I feel like this late at the end of the 7th feels like a no-brainer. I know he's not being priced as a wide receiver 10. That's not what I was saying, Scribbles. I wasn't saying he was being priced as a wide receiver 10. I'm saying you want him to reach at least that peak in order for him to reach wide receiver 10 prices, right? In order for him to reach wide receiver 10 prices, to be back in that range where you drafted him to be, what has to happen? And I said at least a top 12 finish. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, though. And I believe he's talented as well. I believe he's talented as well. I'm not disagreeing with that statement there. I agree that Bo Nix in the 4th was wild. Definitely too late for Bo Nix to be going off the board there. Maybe Bo Nix is a value right now. After I take Harvey, Addison comes off the board. Then Wilson and Shuck. Shuck getting in the 8th round here. Man, running backs are about to look disgusting. I do think it's time to take a tight end in a tight end premium league here. There's some good options available between Laporta and Kyle Pitts. I'll slightly lean Laporta there. Not really bothered if Kyle Pitts would end up being the guy that I started, but I don't mind this start for us. We've got Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, Cam, and Jeremiah Love, Egbuka, Flowers, Laporta, and then we'll flex maybe RJ Harvey or something like that. Not a bad little start here. Not a bad little start. Tin Man says, I think they stay with Jacoby, but try and bring in a veteran to compete. Well, apparently they're very aggressive on Malik Willis. I'm not sure Malik Willis unlocks some top 12 year for Marvin. Scribble says, sure, that's true. I guess I'm looking at it from a startup perspective rather than I bought him in my rookie draft. Right, but no, I get that. But again, guys, I'm trying to ask the question, what is the likelihood that he's more valuable? What does he have to do to be more or less valuable than the 411 next year? Again, that is the question I'm asking right now, okay? What does he need to do to be more or less valuable than the 411 this time next year? And my opinion is for him to be more valuable than that, he's probably going to have to put up like a top 12 to 15 season. For him to be less valuable than that, I mean, even if he's a wide receiver 24, going into his 4th year, I don't know. I don't know that he's more valuable than the 411 with all the other rookies that are coming in. I'm not sure. And again, what is the likelihood that he has a top 12 year versus like some mediocre top 24 year, top 25, 26 year? If I had to bet all the money in my bank account right now based off what's around them, the target competition, and everything involved in that organization, it's not about his talent. I think I'm probably betting all my money on him not finishing with one of those top 12 years. I would feel more comfortable betting that money on him finishing outside the top 20. You know what I mean? I think that's ultimately where I'm bringing the conversation to. Marv or Jamison Williams? Well, it's a funny question to ask because it sounds silly, but I don't think it's that silly of a question. Jamison Williams, is Jamison ever going to be the #1 weapon in Detroit? No. Jamison will never be the #1 weapon in Detroit. Okay? But will Marvin ever be the #1 weapon in Arizona? I don't think so. I don't think he's overtaken Trey McBride at any point. So, is Marvin Harrison expensive Jamison Williams? Not as players, but as what they can do for you in fantasy football. I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Jamison goes at the 5'11" here. So it wasn't that big of a difference in their values. What's up, Ryan? Yes, there is a giveaway today. You can enter to win a live team playbook. And by the way, we're going to be doing some playbooks after this draft as well. But you can enter to win a live team playbook by simply liking the stream and typing Apollo into the chat. Those are the two keys to enter. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to whoever Locks25 is. All right, because Locks25 just became an annual Motherflocker member, which means they are now contributing again to the 40 in a week Feb. We are now on 28, ladies and gentlemen. 2.5 days left, and we're on 28 to reach the 40 in a week Feb initiative. Again, 10% of all of your Flock Fantasy memberships are going to be donated to A21, an organization that fights human trafficking. I've known them for over a decade. They're an incredible organization, and you guys can contribute today. 2.5 days left to hit 40. If we hit 40, I'll do a hairline reveal for you. But again, the question came down to, would you rather have Marvin Harrison or the 104, right? That was the question. And right now, 28 people have voted, and 57% of people are saying Marvin Harrison. And I'm not saying it's the wrong choice, but let's say that's Carnell Tate. Let's say that's Mekhi Lemon. Let's say it's one of those names. I mean, if Mekhi Lemon comes out hypothetically and has a top 24 point per game season, and so does Marvin Harrison, and Marvin's going into his 4th year, and they're both top 10 picks, and then Mekhi's going into his 2nd year, I promise you Mekhi is going to have more value this time next year if that happens. I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm playing out the scenarios, right? I'm thinking about how the dynasty markets change, how people react to dynasty markets, and how that might impact players in dynasty football. I'll grab Alec Pierce here. So that's why I asked the question. I could see Mendoza end up being like the 102 for a lot of people. Doesn't mean I'm right. I could be wrong. Ryan says, I just traded the 103 for Rome and the 201 when I already have the 102. What are your thoughts? That's a trade that I think you probably could have done after the NFL draft. I'm not a huge fan of doing that trade right now, to be honest, Ryan. I just think that trade's probably on the table after the NFL draft, and I would have rather have seen, where these guys are going. If Tate ends up in Tennessee as the clear #1 and Lemon is on Washington, for example, I'm just playing out hypotheticals. I probably would have wanted to wait and see before I would have made that decision, personally. I don't really love any of these picks that are available, but you know what? I'll be the guy to take Malik Willis. I'll take my quarterback 3 at the 10.03. And you know what? If he signs somewhere on a 3-year deal, I'm cool with it. Mike says, I like Tate better than Lemon. Yeah, I like all those receivers in this class, the top 3. I'm a big fan of them. However, Tate has been my wide receiver 1 since I brought out that video in mid-December, I haven't found a reason to change that opinion yet. But Tate has been my number one since the beginning of this process. I know people hate the Justin Jefferson comp, but it's this idea of like a ceiling, absolute ceiling outcome. And I understand Justin Jefferson's unlikely. But again, I'm playing on this idea that he wasn't the number one coming out of his school. It's a school that produces high-level NFL talents at the wide receiver position. He's a big, lanky strider with elite ball skills. And if you're going to question me on his ball skills, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Cardinal Tate's got elite ball skills, ridiculous hands, the best hands in the class, didn't have a single drop through the entire regular season, great through contact, and by the way, good movement skills at 6'3", 200 pounds. Now, a more realistic comp, if you want a middle ground, is probably like you've heard George Pickens before, T. Higgins. Sure, that's a more realistic comp, but I don't think, like, some people are like up in arms about the idea of him being comped to Jefferson. I'm like, brother, let's relax there a little bit, okay? Let's woosah a little bit here. I'm going to catch up with some of your questions here in the chat. Kevin says, I'm a big fan of McBride, but he wasn't Trey McBride until year 3. Let's see if Marv establishes himself on the same timeline. Yeah, Kevin, I think that's understandable, but I think you need to also realize historically, tight ends almost never do something in their rookie years, whereas it's not that uncommon for us to see rookie wide receivers make an impact from day one. If you're looking at the last 10 years as a sample size, you would have much more expectations for a receiver in their first couple of years than you would for a tight end in their first couple of years, right? Ryan says, I can agree with that, Zach, but that's the thinking best case scenario. With a bad landing spot, that trade might not have been possible. Sure, maybe it's not possible. I think the 103 is pretty high. I think if you put that at like the 104 or 105, I would have been more comfortable with it. But yeah, just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right, but that's just my opinion on the deal you've made. Scribble says, Zach, explain something to me. If people are so low on Hunter, why is Parker not going higher? I don't get it. I think because people just believe it was a flash in the pan type of thing, like a Jerry Jeudy type of thing into the season. That's probably where I'm at with it. Tucker Kraft in round 7 was definitely too late. I 100% agree with you there. And I mean, look, I agree that Kraft is a great buy right now. I keep saying it this offseason. Kraft is one of the better buys at tight end. People are not giving him the respect that I believe that he's due. We're going to do this giveaway, and then I've got plenty of playbooks to get in today, so I kind of want to knock these out. It is Friday for me. I am heading into the weekend, so my goal here is to look at some of your trades that you guys have submitted. You guys have got some trades here. Do your team playbooks, and, you know, have a good rest of our stream. But this is probably your last chance. I'm going to go through these trade questions. This is probably your last chance to enter today's giveaway, which is for a live team playbook. All you have to do to enter, again, is like the stream and type Apollo into the chat. That's as easy as it gets. Ryan says, gotta say, Zach, the solo live streams are a lot more interactive. I love them. Well, hey, I'm doing my best to interact with y'all, so I'm glad you guys enjoy it. That's awesome. Okay, let's jump into some of these trade questions here. Ryan submitted a trade question. What's up, Ryan? It's a Dynasty Superflex 12-team start 9, and we'll let that poll die. 63% of people said the 104. We'll go ahead and let that poll die. By the way, while I am getting the giveaway set up, if you do want to get your team reviewed tonight, we have 3 options: the live team playbook, the priority pass, and the pro pass. Those are all available on the Flock Fantasy website. You can also become a Land Annual Mother Flocker member. And that will pretty much, if you become a land member right now, you'll pretty much guaranteed get a spot into tonight's league, which we're going to raffle off after the giveaway for the Apollo League. We've got 6 spots available right now in this league. But of course, if anyone's a brand new member, you'll get an auto lock into one of these leagues. And yeah, so keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to make sure I've done everything right on the back end here. Let's double check one last thing. Sorry, gang. We just had Dan submit a playbook. Okay, cool. We've got Dan's playbook here. Awesome. Okay. Dan just submitted a playbook. Shout out to Dan. So we're actually going to move that number now to 29. 29, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting closer and closer every single stream. Okay. So we've got a Superflex 12-team start 9. They're sending away, this is Ryan, he's sending away Lamar Jackson and Sam Laporta. He's getting a 27 first Stroud and McBride. Where's that 27 first? He says, have Caleb May, Stroud at quarterback 3, try the 102, thoughts. Where's that 27 first going to be? Where's that 27 first going to be? Noah, you can submit a playbook. Very simple, my friend. You just became a member, so you will have a voucher, but you can go to personal advice, team review. Obviously, make sure you've linked up your league with either Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo, MFL, FFPC. And then once you've linked your league, you can choose whatever team you're looking to get reviewed. And then you should have a free voucher for a standard playbook. But because you're an annual Mother Flocker member, you can upgrade that voucher to either Priority Pass or a Pro Pass as well. I wonder where that 27 first is. That's really my question. But sending away Lamar Jackson, getting Trey McBride in return, 12-team Superflex start 9 is a tight end premium. If you made this deal, you would be starting May and Caleb, like we talked about. You are at running back going to be starting Saquon, Chase Brown. Is that it? That's all you've got, really? Yeah, Saquon, Chase Brown, I guess. A little bit thin at RB3, a lot of bit thin at RB3. At receiver, you would be starting JSN, which that would make 5. That's 5 for you. Pickens would be 6. Adunze would be 7. McBride would be 8. And then your 9th player in your flex would, I guess, be Warren or Waddle. Warren or Waddle or McConkey. You know, I don't hate the trade because you've got such a good quarterback room already, but I don't love the running back room. I guess if you could turn that 108 into like a contending running back, I don't mind it as much. Tight end premium, you get McBride. I just think it depends on where that 27 first is, man. If that 27 first is projected to be mid to late, I don't think it's enough. Yeah. What's their team got? Well, their team would have Lamar. At running back, they'd have Harvey, and that's really it. They've got Rashee Rice. They don't have much on this team, if I'm reading this correctly. So if that's projected to be an early first, I don't mind it as much. I think to make your life a little bit easier, I would love to do like a 108 and a 102 swap, and then you can even send the 203 in that trade. Like that would make me a lot more comfortable. Yeah, I'd love to do that instead. I can even send the 203 and the 208. Those are some counters there. It's close, though. It's close. Like, if you told me that's a top 2 pick in 2027, I'd probably be interested. And I'd probably pull it off. Big Vegan Beef says, thoughts on deal. Team review in January said a 1-year punt. That's always great context. I appreciate that context. So, you would be sending away Amon-Ra and the 101 for the 102, the 104, a 27 first, and Quinshon Judkins. I got to be honest, I'm not sure you're getting enough in return here for the 101. Maybe. But when you add a Monra there, I like this idea. I just don't know if it's enough for me. Okay, so let's think about these as like individual assets. So if you were to sell a Monra St. Brown, you could probably get Judkins in a first, right? At minimum, I think Judkins in a first probably is what you could get. So I'm looking at this and asking, would I sell the 101 for the 102 and the 104? I don't think I would, based off of the market today. I want to ask you guys, which package would you want here? The 101 or the 102 plus the 104? Because that's kind of how I'm viewing it at the moment. It's a tough question to answer, honestly. Because personally, just the deals I've seen have really made me think that you could probably net more in return. But I don't want to, because I want you to achieve the goal of, you know, of ultimately 1 year punting there, but yeah. I'm surprised the poll is a 50-50 chance here. Scribble says giving up the 2 biggest pieces in a deal. He says depends on team build. Mike says 101, it's not even close for me. I'm surprised that the poll is 50-50 right now, to be honest. But if y'all had the 101 and the 102 and the 104 is in your inbox, you're actually taking that for real? I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm taking that. Okay, so if we're not going to take the offer, let's think of a counter. What I would love to do is find some counter here that could make sense. Nathan, that's fair, but who's Hampton this year? Like, if you're going to talk about running back scarcity, sure. Who's Hampton this year? There is no Hampton this year. There's no RB2 that's going in round 1. It's not the same class, you know? I don't think it's easy to copy and paste that. Hampton plus T-Mac and Hendo. What if that's T-Mac and Travis Hunter that you're actually trading for? There's no RB2 in the class that's going in the first round. I think everyone would prefer Genty over Hampton and Hunter at this point. But it would be close. It would be close. I can see what you're saying. Okay, the guy that you're trading this to, his team is quite good. Actually, it's not that great. Yeah, we're close. Let's see if you can... No, this is your team, sorry. Let's see if you can maybe net something smaller in return on top of this deal. For example, can you turn Mahomes into Daniels? Can you add Mahomes and turn him into Daniels? That would be enough for me. If you can't do that, because these first look like they're going to be late, make sure you're not getting his first. Like, get the most valuable first that you can. Can you get a Jordan Addison on top? I'm trying to see what's realistic. I mean, can we bet on Marvin here? I'm not anti-Marvin. Can we send a second and bet on Marvin? That might close the gap for us. Or send Worthy instead of the second, right? So I think there's a couple counters there where I could ultimately get there. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. I appreciate you big time. All right, we're going to jump into some team reviews. But just before we do, let's do this giveaway. Currently, there are 22 entries. 22 entries for the giveaway today. A little too bright. Again, this is your last chance to enter. All you had to do is simply like the stream and type Apollo into the chat. Um, 22 entries. Let's go ahead and copy and paste here. And then we will raffle off the Apollo League as well. But let's start off with a live team playbook. And tonight our winner is going to be Homa868. Homa868. All you got to do to claim your voucher, my friend, is DM me on Discord. There's my username. I need a screenshot of your YouTube account, and I need your Flock Fantasy username. That will be fantastic. Thank you so much, my friend. All right. Let's jump into the. Let me see if we've got our commissioners here. Let's see if Rowan is here. Because we can do the Apollo drawing here as well. But let me just make sure I've got the right names before we jump in too far. Okay. We will do the Apollo drawing after this first team playbook, okay? After this first team playbook, we will jump into the Apollo drawing and draw off names for Monday's league. So first playbook is going to be M. Reed. Now, M. Reed, I just want to let you know, just a little technicality here. I know you bought this as a Pro Pass, but unfortunately you can't use a previous Pro Pass voucher to upgrade to another Pro Pass, because that just creates this infinite glitch where a playbook is like $21 every time, right? So I'm going to go ahead and give you the priority pass benefits here, but I can't on this first one. I know you bought another Pro Pass down below. The Pro Pass that you bought today, I can absolutely upgrade that voucher, but you can't use a Pro Pass voucher then to upgrade to another Pro Pass, if that makes sense, my friend. But I'm absolutely going to give you that tier 2 benefit here, that priority pass, and skip the queue and do your review here first. So let's jump into M. Reed here. He says, I know that I'm not competing right now, but I'm just trying to see what I should do with some of my cornerstone assets. All right, let's have a look. So M. Reed, you are currently ranked 3rd in this league. It is a Superflex start 11. You've got quite a lot of draft capital here in 2026, which we will obviously discuss what's best to do with that. Jackson Dart is really your only quarterback worth mentioning. I know Anthony Richardson is obviously potentially on the move. We heard that today in different rumors. So we'll monitor that and see, does he actually land in the Vikings? Does he land on any, team that actually we could see a good future with? Now, beyond that, you've got Scatterboo, Judkins, Marks, Johnson. It's a nice young running back room that can increase in value over time. Same with the wide receiver room of T-Mac, Burden, Hunter, Watson. You've got Warren and Kraft. You've got a lot of really good, foundational pieces here. I would say there aren't really any untouchables per se. There's no players that I would refuse to move. But you definitely have some names that I'd like to hold. I'd love to hold Caleb Johnson, Anthony Richardson, Travis Hunter, Jack Besh. Those are names that I would definitely be holding. You can drop pretty easily here. Your Miles Sanders, Josh Palmers, Raheem Mostert, Kenny Pickett's. These guys can jump to the waiver wire. What I will say is there's not that much interesting on the waiver wire, so it's not that you have to cut them. I just don't see a scenario in which you cutting them is going to hurt. And you've got a lot of draft picks, so you're going to need to clear space anyway for a roster like this. But let's jump into the war room here, and let's have a look at the picks that you do have. You've got the 104. Remember, it is a super flex league. Now, again, looking at this roster, I don't see a way that we're going to compete this year, and you obviously know that. I'm going to probably call this a one-year punt. And overall team grade's an interesting one. Yeah, we're definitely going to punt at least 1 year. I like the draft capital that you've got there. You've got 2 firsts and 27 as well. I would put this at like a B-. I don't mind the foundational pieces that you've got right now. You know, Dart, you need another quarterback, but you've got a good start at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. The Warren and Kraft combo is pretty nice. A small little premium in your league. I'm going to go B- and a 1-year punt when I'm looking at a team like this. Yeah, I think let's get an impact player here in the draft. Let's use these picks wisely. And then hopefully in 2027, you know, we've got an opportunity here to really make an impact. But at the 104, it's either going to be, you know, one of the big 3 wide receivers or Fernando Mendoza. And I'm not opposed to Mendoza, honestly, with the way that your roster currently looks. I'm also not opposed to trading back to the 105 if the right deal is out there. At the 112, you're kind of going to be left over with the scraps of whatever is left over from the first round. You know, maybe that's Sadiq, maybe that's Price, Surratt, Cooper. I don't know who exactly would be there, but that's probably what you're going to be left over with. Let's see who has the 105 and see if there's some sort of deal that might make sense for you to trade down with them. The 105 is held by Team 5, Little Fred. Is there anything that could make sense here? I was almost like interested in the idea of moving off of Travis Hunter, but honestly, with your team, I don't really think that you should, considering we're not trying to be that competitive this year anyway. This guy doesn't really have much draft capital, unfortunately. He's not a great trade partner for you. I mean, I guess hypothetically you could trade back for his 27 second, but I just don't think, I think I'd rather just have control of the pick, so I don't think that's really going to work. If you want to trade that 112 for any future first, that would definitely help you out there. The 204 and the 304 we can use in packages if we're looking to make some trades. You know, if they kind of move things over the line, then I'd be more than willing to kind of add them to different types of deals there. But with that in mind, let's jump to your chalkboard and let's think through. If we're trying to be as bad as we possibly can this year, is there any players that we could sell this offseason? I'm not opposed to selling a Christian Watson if the right deal is on the table. Not a player that I think, you know, is ever going to finish top 12 or, you know, have some huge breakout season. And he is going to be 27 this year, just with the injury history with Green Bay and just the amount of, you know, wide receivers that they continually rotate. I would not be opposed to selling him. Xavier Worthy, I wouldn't be opposed to selling either if I got the right offer. Am I selling anyone else on this team? You just have a lot of young players. Maybe Romeo Doubs after free agency. You know, let's say like Romeo Doubs goes somewhere like Tennessee on like a 4-year deal or something. I would be willing to sell him if his value kind of skyrockets there. And skyrocket's a silly word to use, but you guys know what I mean. Yeah, I don't really want to sell Cam or Judkins. Woody Marks is impossible to sell. So maybe you more look at like selling him in season. Maybe the Texans have already drafted his replacement by then. But right now, you're going to get a late second at best. So I don't know that it's really worth the risk-reward there. Yeah, there's no one else that I would really be suggesting to sell there. What we could do is use Woody Marks to sell the 112. So an early second is what you'd be hoping to get in season. But if you can attach the 112 to Woody Marks, find a running back needy team and try and get there first next year, that might be the most ideal scenario here. For example, Team 1, they don't have their 27 firsts, so never mind. Team 2 has a bunch of 27 firsts. So I don't know exactly what team that might be, but I think that would be your most ideal way to move off of Woody Marks, if it's possible to kind of use him as an add-on. And, you know, again, you've got these, if you can throw the 2.7 to make it happen, 2.11, 3.04, that would be, I would say, an ideal way to move off of him. Romeo Doubs at the free agency, I would say ideally like any second round pick would be ideal for Romeo Doubs. He's probably going to have a decent contract considering how weak the free agency cycle is this year. Xavier Worthy, ideally you're looking for an early 27 second. And for Christian Watson, I would say that's probably the same range for Christian Watson. You could also look at, again, sending the 112 to someone who's contending and get a piece that you want to build around a little bit more long term. You know, I think about the idea of like Watson and the 112. Again, like Watson and the 112. You know, I don't know if you can land in like a Dunze range, but let me think of some names. Like a Brian Thomas, it's so hard because there's not many young names that people are willing to let go of. Brian Thomas. I don't even mind like sending that 112. I know you already have Travis Hunter, but yeah, I don't know if Ladd McConkey is realistic, so I don't want to suggest it, to be honest. It might be worth holding on to the 112 at this point, but you don't have many names that you really need to move. Your foundational pieces like Dart, you can build around. You can build around Scatterboo, Judkins, McMillan, Burden, Warren, Kraft. So 7 of the names that are the most interesting names that people want to trade for on your team, you shouldn't trade because you need kind of a foundation to build around anyway. But I hope that's helpful, Imreed. I appreciate you big time. As you know, you've been back in, with us here many times getting playbooks. You're going to get your playbook within 3 to 4 business days. So I appreciate you big time for showing some love and obviously seeing value in the playbook reviews. I'm glad that you see value in them, my friend. Okay, looks like we've got a trade that was just submitted. So let me get to that real fast from T. Gotzi. T. Gotzi has a trade here, and he would send a second and Justin Jefferson for the 106, a 27 first, and Luther Burden. T. Gotzi says, just received an offer on the site. If you can look, let's have a look. Now, where is that 27 first? Where would you project it to be, T. Gotzi? Is it from a competitive roster? Let's see. Is it a competitive team that you're getting that first from? They would have May. No other quarterback you love there. At running back, they have Bijan and Kyron. They're going to get Jefferson from you as well as McMillan, Jameson, and McBride. Oof. That's a good team. I would say that's going to be a late first. I don't love this offer. And you're giving them your second. The second is his second. Okay, right. So he's getting his second back. I don't love the offer. I'm a big Luther Burden guy. Huge Luther Burden guy. But I don't think this is enough for me personally to move off of Justin Jefferson. It's a late 27 first. It's the 106, which is one of the hardest picks to move in Dynasty right now. Yeah, I just don't think that this is the structure I'd be looking for. Maybe there's another swap out there that you guys can do. Like, for example, Yeah, I was going to say like a McMillan. Like if McMillan can be involved and you give him Travis Hunter or something, then that's probably enough to bridge the gap for me. If he doesn't want Travis Hunter, even if that can be like a Jaden Higgins. I'm not opposed to selling Jefferson, but I just don't think you're getting a big enough return here. Even Ricky Pearsall. So there's a couple options, but I'm not obsessed with that original offer. I just think you're taking on a lot of risk. All right, M. Reed here. Back again with another one. Again, you are skipping the queue here because you've got the Pro Pass. So I obviously can honor that Pro Pass here as you bought this one a la carte. So I'm going to give you that free team review voucher. I appreciate you, my friend. Again, if you guys don't know, the Pro Pass is a relatively new offering. We released it in January, and when you're going through the checkout process, you can choose it as the tier 3 option. It basically doubles your playbooks. Now, as I mentioned to M. Reed on his earlier review, just a little side note there, you can't then turn that voucher that you get from the Pro Pass into another Pro Pass purchase, right? Because we can't create this infinite loop. All right, let's have a look at this next one from M. Reed. Back again with another review. He says, I know that I'm not competing right now, but I'm just trying to see what I should do with some of my cornerstone assets. Wait, is this the same review that we just did? Okay, so we just did this review. No, this is a different review. This is a different team. You must have Dart in multiple leagues then. Okay, this is a different team. We have not reviewed this one just yet. Because I saw Dart as your only quarterback, and that was the same as your previous team, and my mind went to, wait, have we already looked at this? But that's okay. Here we go. You must have quite a few orphans that you are kind of taking over this offseason, which I love that you're getting really active in the Dynasty space. Okay, so in a start 10, which is our middle ground, you can start up to either 3 receivers, 2 flexes, or 2 receivers, 3 flexes. Let's have a gauge. You've got Dart. Don't love your quarterback room outside of Dart. Same thing with Henderson. Don't love the quarterback room outside of Henderson. Olave, Bird, and Harrison is fine. It's not the most top-heavy wide receiver room. And then Goddard being your number 1 tight end, it doesn't feel that great. You've got a lot of picks in 2026. You've got your own picks in 27, which is good. Because, again, this is probably another team that I would say I don't really see a scenario in which you're competing this year. So I'm going to go out here and say 1-year punt. This team is probably in a more difficult position than your previous team. I would say I'm looking more like a C- on this one. There's just a lot of areas that need improvement compared to the previous team. You didn't have as much foundation with this one. Draft capital grade's pretty good. I'd say like an A-. You've got the 101. That's a real impact pick. You don't have any untouchables on this squad. If you want to hold some of these names, Jonathan Brooks is who I would hold. I would hold names like J.J. McCarthy because he's not really worth selling for right now. Marvin Harrison, despite, the stream today, I think he's a great hold still, despite the conversation we had. Michael Mayer as well, I think is worth holding in case he finally finds a new home this offseason. He's just a good prospect. Just really never had a shot, unfortunately, when he landed with Las Vegas and they drafted Brock Bowers. Let's jump into the war room here for this second team for you. The 101, Jeremiah Love, clearly is the pick that you're going to make. If you're going to sell it, we need an absolute haul, which we can just define here in a second what that haul might need to be. At the 201, you're going to be in this range of players here, which it's really difficult to say exactly what's going to look like right now. But I would say Katrin Allen, Jeremy Bernard, Ty Simpson, Stowers, it's going to be kind of that area of the board. I don't really think I wouldn't advise you to trade these later picks, but if you're going to move the 101, you need, again, an absolute haul. I mean, we just had an offer earlier where someone got the 102 and the 104, and we wanted something on top of it. So if something like that's available, considering how weak your team is, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Let's see. So the guy who has the 102 has a decent team. I would want like the 102 plus his 27 first, plus like a Brian Thomas, for example. Right? That's going to be the type of offer that we need to move off of Brian Thomas, or to move off the 101. And if that's not available, then it's okay. We can just move on. We don't have to, you know, if someone's not willing to pay it, all good. No worries. Maybe you can even sink the 202 on top of that. Let's keep looking here. The guy with Breece Hall is interesting. I don't really love his picks because they're going to be late. Team 4 has a 104 and the 105. Unfortunately, they have a huge need at receiver, not as much at running back. I doubt they'd be interested in doing that deal. But if you get the 104, 105, and something on top as well, I might be open to a structure like that. Again, trying to find teams that could be competing but need running back help. So El Gato is a good option here. I would say I want his 103 plus his 27 first plus something intriguing. Is there a premium in this? No premium. I'd say probably Tyler Warren as well. That's probably what it would cost for me. If that's not available, again, fair enough. I mean, you can make it simple by asking for the 103 plus 227 first as well. This team definitely needs a solid RB2. And the issue is they don't really have all that many assets. I mean, I would need like Judkins, Egbuka, and their 27 first. I'll give them the 101 and the 201. Judkins, Egbuka, and the 27 first. And I think that's probably where most of your options are to move off that pick. And again, if people aren't willing to pay that haul, it's like, all good, no worries. I'm going to hold then. Because you can't get rid of this foundational piece for nothing, you know. Now, names that we could move on this team are going to be very, very limited, my friend. In fact, you have very little options as a one-year punt. Like, sure, I could say you want to move Tua Tagovailoa, but what are you going to get for him? I don't even know if you can get a second-round pick for him. You're not going to move Dart. You're not going to move Henderson, Monongai Brooks, Olave, Burden, Marvin. Diggs, we can move. And maybe Goddard. Outside of that, you don't really have many options. I would take any 27 second for Stephon Diggs. Alternatively, I'd love to turn Stephon Diggs into a young, unproven option. What's up, Andrew? How long am I streaming for? I don't know. I guess it depends on how many... if people keep submitting reviews, I'll keep going. But we've got at least 1-2 more reviews, so I would say at least another 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, roughly. Okay, if we're going to turn Stephon Diggs into a younger player, younger unproven guy, right now on the Flock site, names that could make sense would be... I'm going to look at my rankings because I don't actually love consensus around Stephon Diggs' name there. Okay. So, for example, like if I can turn him into a Matthew Golden, I'd love to do that. Yes, we will do the drawing for Apollo after this review. Apologies, guys. I forgot. We'd turn Stephon Diggs into a Jalen Knoll plus, you know, let's say a third. I would turn him into Parker Washington plus a third. I would spin Diggs and the You already have Hunter on your team, don't you? No, you don't. Not on this team. So Diggs and the 211-301 on Travis Hunter. Right? I think that could make a lot of sense for you. Ricky Pearsall. I'd love to turn Diggs into Ricky Pearsall. I don't know what that would cost. Maybe the 211 or the 301. You might know that better than me. But trying to kind of pivot off of that name. Pat Bryant in a third. Could also make a lot of sense. You know, it's just an aging asset. It's an aging asset that's not going to improve at any point. If you get any second in any year for Dallas Goedert, that's awesome. At this point, I would say the same thing for Tua, but he's going to be really hard to move. But both of these teams that you submitted today, to be honest, M. Reed, they've kind of been already well established on exactly the direction you're taking them this offseason. There's a lot of players already on your team that already fit the pathway I'm pointing you towards. So there might not be as much action. But between that 101, Stephon Diggs, Goddard, and Tags, that's a lot of ideas there for you. And I appreciate you big time. Thanks for letting me review the squad, my friend. Always a pleasure to review one of M. Reed's teams. Okay, so let's do the draw for the Apollo League. Let me just let everyone know. I'm just going to say drawing spots for Apollo League right now. Right now, okay? Okay. Let's go ahead and draw some spots. We've got 6 spots available. All right, the other 6 were taken by brand new members. And again, if you ever become a brand new annual Mother Flocker member, please DM me. I'd love to fast track you into a league. But let's go ahead and let's spin the wheel. I want to make sure I've got all of our entries available here. And give me 1 second. Let me add everyone here. And let me just make sure we have no repeats from anybody's names. So we got 6 spots available. And we have how many people who are available? Matt says, can I get in this draw or is it too late? You can... Are you a brand new annual Mother Flocker member? Let me know. Let me know if you are, Matt. Because if you are, then I can hook you up with a spot straight away. Morristein, what's up? Says, best sell that JMC. JJ McCarthy. It's just, what can you sell JJ McCarthy for? Like, I'm not against selling JJ McCarthy, but I just don't even know what you can get for him. Like, in this class, can you get the 209? That wasn't meant to be funny. Frosty Canadian on the site. I'm pretty sure you're a member, so let me add you here. Let me double check real fast. Yeah, you're already a member. Let me add you, Frosty. You don't have to sign up. I got you. Okay, you're added in there. Cool. But I'm not anti-selling JJ McCarthy. It's just, what are you realistically going to sell him for? All right. We have 5 spots or 6 spots available here, guys. 6 spots available that we're going to raffle off for the Apollo League. Here we go. For spot numero uno. Numero uno is going to... Oh, so close. So close. But it is going to J.K. Blaine. Congratulations, J.K. You are officially in there. Spot number 2. Spot number 2. Oh my gosh, he just got in there at the last second. Frosty Canadian. Hey, remind me, what is your Discord name? Because I gotta have Rowan reach out to you. Not too late for a playbook, Noah. Not too late. I'm just doing the Apollo raffle first. So Frosty Canadian is in there. Who else did we say? J.K. Blaine is in there. And J.K.'s here, said, let's go. I got a spot. Okay, so we have 4 more spots we're going to raffle off here. 4 more spots. Spot number 1 out of 4 is to Sparrow. Congratulations, Sparrow, who I know is in the chat here with us. You'll love to see it. Welcome home, Sparrow, to a Land Dynasty League. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I don't know how many spots we have left. It looks like this one's going to Lone Star. Congratulations, Lone Star. Okay, hold on, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 3 spots remaining, but we will also raffle off some reserves as well. Discord is Burrs. Okay, cool. Burrs. Is that your full username, Burrs? Let me actually try and tag you right now. Let's see if this will work. Oh yeah. That's you. You just put a message in the chat there. Okay. Looks like Bursy. Okay, cool. We've got you. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and... How many spots again, Zach? You're losing your mind. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 3 spots remaining here. 3 spots remaining. So spot number 10 is going to... So close, but it looks like Bose. Bose is getting the spot. Bose 1508, 1738. Okay, spot number 11. Spot number 11 is going to ESRJR2. Congratulations, my friend. Spot number 12. Let's go for spot number 12, and then we'll do some reserves as well. Spot number 12 is officially going to Sam6678. Congratulations, Sam6678. Also, Sam Champ, Thomas Gotts, Shadowboxing, Killis6338, and Fried Donuts. You guys are automatically in the league as you were brand new members. So you hadn't been in the league yet. I fast-tracked you into the spot. So you are already in. Now, I'll do 2 reserves here. Reserve number 1. Reserve number 1 is going to be Ryan. Congratulations, Ryan. You are reserve numero 1, my friend. Reserve number 2. Let's get one more reserve here. And reserve number 2, it's so close, but it's Mitch Wood. Mitch Wood, where is he? Okay, there we are. Reserve number 2 is Mitch Wood. All right, guys, if you were selected today, please be on the lookout for a Discord DM from Rowan, who is your commissioner, okay? So he will be DMing you on Discord here within the next 24 hours. He'll be giving you a link to join the league, to get your buy-in all done, and then on Monday we will be drafting a real league. I appreciate you guys big time. Thanks for being here and showing love. And again, if you guys want to get into these leagues, it's very simple. Okay, every single person who's a Land Annual Mother Flocker member will have access to be in a great Dynasty League, okay? A league that you can care about, a league that you can invest into, all right? So the steps are very simple. You become an Annual Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND, and then you follow these steps. You sync your Discord every Monday, every single Monday. We are going to be raffling off or doing a draft and releasing a brand new league that you can be a part of every Thursday night. We'll be raffling off the spots. All right. Let's jump into our next team playbook. And this next one will be from Jay Willie, but we've got a trade that was just submitted by M. Reed, who would be sending away a third Lawrence, Judkins, Marvin, and Nico for Achane, Algier, London, and Amon-Ra. Wow, this is a 10-team start 10. So let's just break this down for a second. At Superflex, who is your quarterbacks? You've got Caleb, Dart, Burrow. So Lawrence is very expendable. I like Algier in this trade, but he doesn't matter. Neither does the third. So really, would I pay? Oh, this seems like a no-brainer, man. I was going to go through it individually, but you're upgrading from Nico to Amon-Ra. You're upgrading from Marvin to London. You're upgrading from Judkins to Achane. And all it takes to do that really is Trevor Lawrence, who's massively expendable in a 10-team start 10. I don't know, man. This seems like a no-brainer to me. I'd absolutely pull the trigger on this. You've already got such great depth all the way across the board. You've got Bijan, Genty, Hampton. You'll add Achane to that. Now you'll have Amon-Ra, London, Neighbors, Egbuka, McMillan, Jefferson, Puka. Oh my gosh. There's no reason not to do this trade. In this type of league, you're just trying to tear up as much as you possibly can across the board. Yes, I'll take that trade every single day. It's a good one for you, in my opinion. All right, let's jump into Jay Willie here. Jay Willie says, I really don't know what I should do moving forward. I have a lot of first-round rookie picks. Do I trade them for young players? Should I tear down quarterback? Okay. Let's have a look then, shall we, Mr. Jay Willie? It's a Superflex, is that right, 2 tight end league? This is a very interesting league. It's a start 13. So typically we only go to start 12. So this is actually going to be a start 13. We're going to call this Death is King Plus. And I like what you've done here because in an 8-team league, it's very easy to build out really good rosters. When you make your roster a lot bigger in an 8-team league, it definitely makes that, competitive edge stand out a little bit more, right? So I like it a lot, Jay Willie. I think you've done well setting up this league and being a part of it. Okay, so team name is Jackson Fantasy. You're currently ranked 3rd. And let's have a geese. You've got Lamar, Burrow, Caleb, which is great. Taylor, Walker, Etienne. It's a decent running back room there. Wide receiver room is where obviously the team falls off. You're great at tight end. Now you've got some draft picks, and more importantly, you've got the 101, 102, 104. So you're going to be adding probably Jeremiah Love there, as well as, potentially, Mekhi Lemon, Tyson. Yeah, this is a nice team here, man. I can see why you're ranked 3rd on the site. You're a very good roster. Your starting 13 would probably be Lamar, Burrow, Taylor, Walker, Egbuka, Burden, Kraft, Kittle. That makes 8. You have to start 5 more names, which would be Etienne, Jeremiah Love, the 102, the 104, and then your last flex is probably Ricky Pearsall, Stephon Diggs, one of those type of names. I think it's a really good team. I don't see why we wouldn't try and kind of go all in with the squad like this. You have a 27 first from Prescott's Tots, which is a funny name. I would probably hold that first because his running back room is terrible. Don't love his receiver room. I could see that being a valuable first-round pick, but I'd be willing to sell yours. Yeah, I think we can have a lot of fun with a roster like this, man. There's a lot of flexibility you've got, and let's jump straight into it. First off, you've got the 101. You've got 227 first. I'm going to give you an A+ draft capital grade. Your overall team grade as of today, I would put a solid A-, considering, again, the receiver room is a little bit weak, but you've got draft capital to really address that. And, personally, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't go out and contend with a roster like this. I just don't see a reason. I'm going to give you A- team grade, by the way. We're going to call you a contender. I don't see a reason not to contend when you've got names like Jackson, Burrow, Taylor, Walker, Egbuka, Kraft, Kittle, Jeremiah Love. I definitely think you're a team that can go out there and contend, man. 100%. No doubt in my mind. Untouchables will be your Jacksons, your Burrows. I would hold names like Brandon Ayuk, Isaiah Likely. I think Isaiah Likely could be a starter after free agency. I think Ayuk could be a flexible name if he goes to Washington. On the waiver wire, though, I did notice that Parker Washington, more importantly, Malik Willis is available. I would definitely go out there and aggressively add Malik Willis because it gives you flexibility on your roster, even if you don't ever start him. So definitely go get you some Malik Willis. Parker Washington's a good ad. Tank Bigsby, Arroyo. These are some decent ads on the waiver wire that are available for you, my dude. Let's jump to your war room. And with a team like this, I would definitely prefer just to go out and draft Jeremiah Love. You want hammers, right? You want hammers in a league like this. Jeremiah Love is just going to add to that running back room day one. At the 102, I wouldn't be going, a quarterback here. I know it's a super flex league, but it's only an 8-team league. Quarterbacks are very easy to find. So I would be probably adding 2 of these names. So there's a real world here where you add Jeremiah Love, Lemon, and Tate, right? That would be awesome. That would be so good because you're adding the best player in the class as well as 2 receivers we love, and you're not reaching on them, but it is also a need. I wouldn't really trade the 101. Actually, I don't know. You've got a really good running back room. If you were to trade the 101, I would need like a Malik Neighbors. I would need a Neighbors. Let me think about some other names that would make sense here. Let's see. Yeah, like Neighbors. I don't think you get Puka, Jason, Chase. But if you can get Amon-Ra and a plus, it would have to be a plus on top of an Amon-Ra, to be honest. Yeah, Neighbors would probably be the main piece I'd be comfortable doing a deal like that around, but yeah. Just so you know kind of where my mindset is there. Okay, at the 102, if you're going to trade the 102, I do think this is where things can open up a bit because is Justin Jefferson available for the 102? In certain leagues, he actually is based off what I've seen recently. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not. I'm seeing it happen. Is Drake London available? That's kind of the range there. If you go down to the 104, you're looking at names like Chris Olave. You've already got Emeka Egbuka. Let me make sure I'm not missing any names here. Maybe a Nico Collins, a George Pickens. Those names could potentially make sense. And then if you can throw that 406 in any packages, it makes sense to move that way. But let's just play out a hypothetical world here. So let's say hypothetically you draft Jeremiah Love, but then you use the 102 and the 104 and you trade them for receivers and you trade for Jefferson and Chris Olave, just hypothetically, or Collins or Pickens or whatever. The 104 might be more unrealistic than the 102. But then you're looking at a lineup of Jackson, Burrow, Jeremiah Love, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Kraft, Kittle, and then you're flexing Walker, Etienne, Egbuka, Burden, Pearsall. I mean, that's an awesome lineup, and I like it a lot. And honestly, you don't really need to move your 27 first right now, but clearly, you have the flexibility to do so. If in the middle of the season you wanted to say, you know what, I want to go all in, you would have the flexibility to go out there and do that. I'd also be curious if you can use Bryce Young and Diggs in a trade. Could you use Bryce Young plus Stephon Diggs, you know, and land another flex, because I don't think you need Bryce Young at all on this roster. Is there anyone who's like, this guy has no quarterback 3? Could you send him Bryce Young and Diggs for Marvin Harrison Jr.? You know, would you need to add your 204 onto that? I'd be willing to do that. Right? Like a deal like that could make a lot of sense in my mind. Anybody else need quarterback? This guy's got Stafford. He's probably fine. Unfortunately, in an 8-team league, you're not going to find many people that need a quarterback. Stroud and Tua. Yeah, like if we could land a Jameson, that would be awesome. So maybe we don't even need to add the 204 here, but like a Jameson Williams would be incredible there. You can't get... Well, I'm also not opposed to going out and trying to get Christian McCaffrey either. And then that allows you to use a 101 to go out and try and get like a Neighbors or something. You know what I mean? So that could work as well. Unfortunately, no one else really needs quarterback. But I'd also be open to like moving just Diggs straight up for some of those names we talked about earlier, like a Matthew Golden. You know, if you can move Diggs plus a 204 for a late 26 first, I would be open to that as well. You know, I'm thinking like the 107 to 110 range. That would also be intriguing to me. But I think a lot of your work's going to come through the draft. I think you've got a great team. There's no reason why you can't go out there and compete straight away. Thanks so much for letting me review the team. And I think this is a trade, which I'm glad I didn't do this trade yet, because this is a trade that you asked from the team we just looked at. So let's just break this down for a second. Right now you're saying the 101 plus the 102. I know George Kittle was involved there. Who else was it? Burrow and Jonathan Taylor. My gosh. This is a absolute haul you're sending away. And you'd be getting back Bijan, Puka, and Roma Duze. Okay. First off, it's a 2 tight end league. So you would have no secondary tight end anymore. I don't love that. And it's hard to find tight ends. Even in an 8-team league, there aren't 16 tight ends that people love. You know what I mean? So that's something that we definitely need to consider. The 101. Let's just kind of think this through here. The 101. Okay, the way I view this is I would say Burrow and Puka for me are about equivalent in value. A lot of people are probably going to prefer Puka, I understand. But I would say they're pretty equivalent in value. If you're trading for a quarterback, I think Burrow is about the range that you're going to get. So again, just trying to break this down by values. Roma Dunze and Jonathan Taylor are close in value. I would say they're close in value. So would I pay the 101, 102, and George Kittle for Bijan? I don't know. I love Bijan Robinson, but this feels like an overpay to me, guys, as I'm starting to break this down. Considering it's a start 2 tight end league, the 101 itself is worth at least 3 firsts. Bijan's probably worth 4. The 102 is worth at least 2 firsts. I don't know. The more I break this down, I love Puka and Bijan, but I think you're paying too much here. I'd love to pull the chat on this one because this is a toughie. And it'd be different if you were in like a start 8 or you were in an 8-team start 10 or something, right? I think it would be easier then. But I think depth does matter in this league. For sure it does. I think I'm keeping the 101 package. Let me see what the chat has to say about this. I just put a poll up. I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on it. But I'm pretty confident I'm going to keep the side that you've already got there, my dude. I just don't think it's quite enough for me. Noah says, just sit in the playbook. Hopefully I did it right. Yes, sir. I see you here. A, B, C, D, right? I see you. Okay, right now, everybody is taking the 101 package here. So they agree with me. I'm gonna skip on that trade. I'm going to keep the 101 there. All right. We got a trade from Frosty Canadian. We've also got Dan and ABC's review here. Let's go to Frosty Canadian here real fast on the trade question. He would send away the 103 in Breece Hall for the 404 Scatterboo and Hampton. Okay, let's have a look at this. So, Hampton is worth more than the 103. In my opinion, if you want Breece or Cam, I don't care. Personally, I don't care which side you lean. So if we remove them from the equation, because again, if you go back and look, it's my running back 8 and my running back 9. I don't care. Same tier. Would I pay the 103 for Hampton? I mean, yeah, for sure. I don't really understand why the 404 is included in the deal. Seems a bit silly, but yeah, I would absolutely take the Hampton and Scatterboo side of this trade. No doubt about it. 100%, my friend. All right, Dan. Let's have a look at the squad, my friend. I don't know if you are with me. Let me know if you are hanging out on the stream or not, Dan the man. I appreciate you big time, my friend. Matt says, no idea either. Not even sure he will accept the counter, including Hampton. Okay, so this is a counter. You're sending a counter, is that right? If you're sending a counter, don't include that 4th round pick. You just leave as little friction as possible. Okay? That would be my advice. Because that's not really going to add anything to your side. And if you can do anything to push the trade through, then you should. But I don't think it's going to be some huge benefit to you to add that pick. So even for optics, if it somehow looks better when he sees it, I would prefer to not even include it in the deal. All right, Dan. Dan is here in the building. What's up, brother? What's up, brother? I'll try and get to some of those other questions in the chat when I have a moment. I just want to make sure I get to everybody's playbooks and prioritize them for showing some love on the Flock site. That's okay, Matt. Okay, Dan is here. It's a Superflex Start 10, and there's no tight end premium. So we're working with a Superflex Start 10. Your team name is Hertz Butt Rush. And you're currently ranked 2nd on the site. He says, I'm contending this year, right? Light on running back. Any moves to make this offseason? Or should I hold till the draft? I see you've got the 103 and the 204. So not a lot of capital, but that's okay. That top 5 pick is definitely going to make a difference. It's going to give you some flexibility here, I imagine, whether we end up, selecting a player or trading it for a veteran already in the NFL. I think that's going to be an impactful selection there. So this is definitely the class where if you don't want to have a lot of capital in any class, this is the capital or the class not to have capital in. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Okay, we've got Lamar, Dak. Don't love your quarterback 3, but love that top 2. Henderson, Walker. Running back depth definitely is light after that. CD, Olave, Laporta. That makes 7. You're going to start 10. Then you're going to flex Ladd, Burden, Higgins, or Godwin. Maybe Ayuk gets involved. Maybe Tootin or Brooks get involved there. Not a bad squad here. Not a bad squad. I would say your untouchables would be Lamar Jackson. I don't think CeeDee Lamb's an untouchable anymore, but he would be the closest thing you have to an untouchable. I would definitely hold names like Bashul Tootin, Jonathan Brooks, Caleb Johnson. Those are all guys that I've been holding this entire offseason. Let's add names like Jaden Higgins to that list, even Terrence Ferguson. If you need to drop someone, you can drop Isaiah Bond if you'd like. You can drop Luke Schoonmaker if you need to make room for these incoming rookies. Is there anything on the waiver wire that's interesting? I mean, Treylon Burks, I guess, but not really. No one that you're really gonna, go out and aggressively acquire. If you will. You don't have your first. I just noticed. You don't have your first. You do have someone else's first, which is Many Men. Is that right? Yeah, you have Many Men, his first. And that's probably not going to be a very valuable pick because he's got a pretty decent team, but that's okay. Yeah, I definitely think you're contending. I'd put your overall team grade probably around like a B+. I think B+ range is probably fair. And you're going to be not a contender, but a windows open pathway because you don't have your 27 first. There's no reason to not go out and try and win it all this year. Not only do you have a good team, but you don't have control of your pick. So let's go out there and win the damn thing if we can. That should be our entire goal for a team like this. But heading into the war room at the 103, you are positioned to add a receiver. I would argue you have a bigger need at running back than receiver, but it's going to be you're in a super flex league, right? So it's going to be either, one of the big three receivers or Fernando Mendoza. At the 204, I mean, it really is a little early to know exactly who will go here, but names that could make sense. We've talked about it earlier in the stream, but your Ty Simpsons, your Stowers, Bells, all those type of names. Now, I would be curious to see what the 103 can net for a veteran running back. I would be curious to know what can I do there at the 103. Is James Cook possible? Is Jonathan Taylor possible? Beyond that, I don't know. You're not going to get Hampton, so throw that idea out the window. I mean, you can try it. I don't think you'll get Hampton. Beyond that, I'd probably prefer to stick there. Like, I'm not going to send the 103 for Breece Hall or, I would just rather be patient if I'm not able to net one of those names. Now, at the 204, if you can go get like a Derrick Henry there, I would be open to it. Maybe you can send like a 27 third on top if they're not comfortable with the 204. But that would be my goal if I'm going to use these picks to not select, but rather, kind of add to your current roster. Now, as of today, you don't need a quarterback 3. If anything happens in season, you've got a 27 first where you can send for like a Goff, a Baker Mayfield, whatever the case may be there, right? I'm just trying to work out in my head if we make another move here. The only other move that I would consider is tearing off of CeeDee Lamb and adding a wide receiver that could be of equivalent value and getting a running back in return. It's not possible in every league anymore with CeeDee. But again, playing off this idea, like if George Pickens returns, does that ultimately impact Lamb's ceiling? So let's start with like a George Pickens. Like, can you get a George Pickens? George Pickens and Josh Jacobs isn't enough. Like, I'm not going to tear down for Josh Jacobs. But yeah, this isn't perfect, honestly. Can you get one of those first and you send a 27 second? Can you make it like that with the pick swap? There are still plenty of other names that could work. Not Jameson, though. Not Waddle. You're not going to tear down. Not going to get Chase. McMillan and Bucky? I don't mind that idea. If you want to even be safer, you can go McMillan and Javonte. And then maybe you could even do like a Loveland and Laporta swap there. Right? That's the kind of idea I'm thinking. If you wanted to add those names. Who is this? Bucky Irving. Yeah. Let's keep looking. Tet's not perfect as you're trying to like win right now. I don't even know if you can tier down to Drake London anymore. But I mean, I'll just say like I would do Drake London. Shoot. I mean, guys, I don't even think you can tier down to London anymore. If he could find his way into Tyler Shuck here, I think I would do it for London and Shuck, because that kind of answers your quarterback 3. You know? I mean, yeah. Oh, wait. Did I put that wrong? Sorry. Yeah. Good catch. Good catch, brother man. Yeah, nice. There we go. Yeah, I mean, just trying to work out like how far we can really stretch that. That's what she said. That's what she said. Drake London and Shuck. I mean, maybe you add like the 111 on this at most, and you send back the 204. You know, maybe you do a slight swap of picks there. But maybe you know your league better and you know how much you can or can't push. That's not a bad idea, though. Okay, can you tier down to Jefferson? Jefferson and Etienne? That would solve that running back problem, and then you can add that 204 to kind of get it across the line. I'd be fine with that. I'd be more than fine with that. I'd be ecstatic with that. That's maybe the best idea so far. Is there any other teams that could make sense? I would also consider like a Nico Jacobs similar idea if he's not wanting to move George Pickens, that first guy. I don't want to tier all the way down to an Adunze or an AJ Brown though. So those are your main options there, but I like all of them. But outside of those, I mean, look, you're contending. We clearly want to win right now. We're not trading Lamar, Dak. You could consider moving Henderson. I think it's risky because I do think his game will grow. But if you don't want to wait on that as like a project, you know, I imagine you could probably move Henderson into, you know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like a Javonte Williams with a plus. You know, you could probably get Javonte Williams and Brian Thomas. Javonte Williams plus Brian Thomas. And then you could probably send Henderson and something, right? That something might be, I don't know, maybe Godwin. They might ask for more than that. Maybe they ask for Jaden Higgins instead. You know, but can you, instead of sending Jaden Higgins, offer them, you know, a TJ Hawkinson or something? TJ Hawkinson isn't very valuable right now. But that's just an idea. If you were like, you know what, I don't know how much I trust Henderson, I would suggest that you hold him. But it's a good team. I think you're definitely out there competing. Dan, let me know if you've got any questions in the chat, my friend. I like the squad. And I definitely think you are out there ready to go in and be a serious contender. But let me know if you got any other questions, Dan. I appreciate you big time, my dude. I appreciate you big time, my friend. And we've got ABC here, who is going to potentially finish off the stream for us. Taylor says, I can't stomach Breece's current price, given he's expected to stay on the Jets, which is fair. Jared says, I moved Henderson to try and compete sooner than later. Got Chase Brown and Chuba Hubbard. I'm not obsessed with the Chuba Hubbard side of that, but I don't mind the idea overall. Jack says, I have 727 first. Should I send 2 guaranteed late first for the 103? I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. But we'll wait to hear back from Dan here, and we will start to kind of get into this potentially last review of the night. If you're out there wanting a team playbook, I've got time for you. I got slots for you. I'm willing to continue here with you. Absolutely no pressure at all. But if you want a live team playbook by your boy, coming up with customized trade ideas, you can check out the link in the pinned comment of the chat. You can also become a promo code LAND annual Mother Flocker member, and you'll get one a voucher automatically, which is what ABCD here did as well. And this is Noah, right? He says, pretty obvious I'm a big Cowboys fan with my team. Well, let's have a look at it. I'm curious what that's going to look like. Your team name is ABCD. Well, I will say it might have been a giveaway with the team name because I automatically thought this guy probably has CeeDee Lamb here. Superflex start 10. There's a tight end premium. So you are rocking with the middle ground there. Starting up to, let's say, 5 receivers potentially in the lineup. You are currently ranked on the site as the 9th team in my rankings, which is something to monitor there. You've got quarterbacks at 11, running backs at 3, receivers at 6, and tight ends at 3. Ended up 3rd overall last year, he says. Let's have a geese. You have no picks that matter in 2026, and you only have a single 3rd in 2027, which is a bit of a toughie. Interesting. Okay. Draft capital grade's got to be probably an F, to be honest with you, man. Just because there's just nothing that's usable or impactful here in the next 2 years, really, including this season, right? But Superflex start 10 and a 12 team with a tight end premium. You've got Dak and Stafford. Not loving that quarterback room. That's probably why you're ranked 11th on the site there. You've got at running back, pretty good group here of Taylor, Henderson, Javonte. That's a good 3. At receiver, you've got Lamb, Pickens, then Wilson, and then pretty big fall off here with DJ, Shakir, Kraft, Fannin, Goddard. Okay, is there anyone on your waiver wire? Not really, unfortunately. I mean, look, I do think James Conner is worth picking up just to see kind of what his free agency looks like. Devon Vele, another name that I think is definitely worth rostering. If they don't go receiver in the draft, he could be something. I would definitely roster Tyreek Hill. I don't really think he's going to make an impact, but I think he's worth holding on to. Okay, interesting. Yeah, Ron, we did the drawing. I will send you. Oh, you have the link, right, to the lists. All the guys in green are greenlit and good to go for the league. All the guys in orange are reserves for the league. Okay, so in a start 10, you've got Dak and Stafford, Taylor, Javonte, CD, Pickens, Kraft. Then you're flexing Henderson, Michael Wilson, and Fannin, I guess. I don't know, man. Well, look. Clearly, without your first both this year and next year, we're going to have to say, you got to go compete, right? That will put you right in the Windows open pathway. There's not a reason at all whatsoever to not go out there and compete. I do think you're more of like a C+ than some sort of, A range team. I assume you might have had some blinders on with the Dallas Cowboys fandom here, having your team so heavily invested in the Dallas Cowboys. I would strongly suggest that we look to move off of CeeDee Lamb, because, yeah, I mean, that's just really Cowboy focused, and he's already been a name that I've been suggesting to tear down from. I don't love your quarterback room. I would like to have a better flex outside of Michael Wilson and Harold Fannin. A little bit more flexibility there at your last flex spot. It's not a bad team. It's not a bad team. Look, you can definitely make the playoffs this year. If everybody stays healthy, Dak, Stafford, Taylor, those top 3 running backs are good. CD Pickens is good. You've got a great tight end room. It's not a bad team. It's just you don't have any way to infuse it with youth. That went into my grade. I don't love the depth at receiver after Pickens, Michael Wilson, and DJ Moore, and Shakir. I don't love the depth there. And also, your quarterback 2 spot is just itching to die. And I say that because Stafford, we don't know how long he plays beyond 2026. Shedeur Sanders, we don't really know how good Shedeur Sanders can be. And if he's even going to be a starter long-term in the league. So, yeah, Jared says the one piece that's missing is Jake Ferguson. Noah says, I got offered Rome, Willis, and a first for CD. As in, like, Malik Willis? That's a terrible offer. We can certainly counter it. So you're telling me you got offered Rome Odunze, Malik Willis, I'm guessing, and a first. That's genuinely an awful offer, but we can work with it. Let's see who has that team. Okay, yeah, so they did offer you Malik Willis. That's funny. And they want to give you, what, a 27 first, I'm guessing? Look, again, not a good offer. Not a good offer. Let me remind myself, you don't really need tight end. Yeah. I mean, no. It's not a good offer. He's got a first-round pick from yourself. So he would be willing to give you your first-round pick back. Is that right? I don't love it. I don't love it. Well, let's go back to that in a second. Let's look at other options that we've got first. Let's look at some other names here. So, I like the idea of I was going to say like a Bird and Saquon, but I don't really like that now that I think it through, honestly. Olave Bucky is interesting. Let's think that one through for a second. Olave Bucky. And could we do like a Marvin? Not a Marvin, but a Jordan Addison DJ Moore swap on top of that? You send him DJ Moore? That would be interesting to me. Let's see. If you can get anything on top of Jefferson, it's no brainer. So, for example, like a Jefferson, Brian Thomas. And then we can send back something small in return. For example, DJ Moore. Again, that would be great. You're getting, 2 Justin Jefferson, who I think has just as much of a chance as finishing top 5 as CD does this year. And you're, kind of adding to the potential ceiling of your team. T-Mac and Chase Brown, I also don't mind. I like that idea. Also, if you can get... I was going to say Justin Herbert, but... I don't mind the idea of, like, adding Bryce Young onto this if it's possible. Where you get Bryce Young and, you know, you send back something simple. Again, you know, we think like DJ Moore. He's really kind of like that piece to even out what you're actually wanting to get back in return. Let's see. T. Higgins, I would be open to if there was anything else interesting on that team, but there really isn't. Ladd McConkey is going pretty far down. But if we could do like a Ladd McConkey, Goff, and a first, and then we will work out how to make that even, that would be great for you. So we need to add something to make that actually work, but let's see. How could we get there? I'm thinking Michael Wilson. If not Michael Wilson, you know, I don't want to get rid of Stafford, but we could add Stafford into that. See you, Matt. Have a good night, man. It's supposed to be Stafford, not Strafford. Stafford. Okay, that could work. You can't tear down to Hunter and try and compete right now. That's just not going to work. Nico would be interesting. I would actually really like Nico, but I don't know how else you get there. Like, you would need like Nico and Baker Mayfield, which would actually be a pretty great deal for you. But I don't see how that really works. This guy's got nothing to tear down to. I'm not going to tear down all the way to Terry. That's too far. Yeah, I think those are your main options there. I like the Jefferson one a lot. I also think the Ladd McConkey, Jared Goff deal would be perfect for what you're trying to accomplish. Again, going back to Roma Dunze, Malik Willis in a first. I don't know. I'm going to pull the chat for a second on that one. I don't feel that comfortable moving down that far. Like, we came up with an idea here where, you know, we mentioned Goff in the first. That's a lot more of a secure asset than Malik Willis. He has Trevor Lawrence, doesn't he? So what if we countered this by saying Trevor Lawrence? But we would send him Matthew Stafford. So then at least you've got Lawrence and Dak, right? To build with long term. I think that's a fair counter idea there. I think that makes more sense if you're trying to counter with that guy. I also love the Nico Collins, Baker Mayfield idea there too. But I just think in an ideal world, you're not so heavily invested in CeeDee Lamb, especially, or in the Cowboys, especially if George Pickens comes back, which who knows. But I mean, what if the Dallas Cowboys spend a bunch of money this free agency on defense, and in the draft they go defense with their first 2 first-round picks, and they drastically improve, and then a team that needed to have such a high output on offense takes a step back this year? That could be concerning to me. Noah says, do you think Taylor's going to have another big year? Maybe. I mean, if he can stay healthy and if Daniel Jones can stay healthy, I'm not opposed to, seeing what sort of deals you can get for him if there's some huge offer out there. But at the same time, you are competing, so you still need to, stay strong at that position. Could I switch a Dunze for Williams in that? I would want a Dunze. I need at least some path where I'm getting a number one receiver. I love Jameson, but Jameson's not going to turn into that. We don't know if Rome will or not. So I would say that's still not enough for me. But that's how I view the squad. Noah, let me know if you got any questions. If there's anything I didn't answer well enough there, my friend, I'd be happy to answer it here on stream. But that is potentially going to be it for today, gang. I'll wait and make sure that Noah's feeling good. We've got 2.5 days or so to get to the 40 in the 40 in a week Feb. Again, guys, remember, you can submit a playbook. You can become an annual member. All that will help you hit that number. But yeah, like I said, Noah, let me know if you got any more questions there. I agree with Mike. Mike's saying, yeah, not enough. We're on the same page there. But yeah, guys, it's been an awesome week. Honestly, it's been an awesome week. You guys have been really supporting the show big time, and you know, it's been a fun process to kind of see everybody get on board this week. Untouchables. Yeah, we didn't do untouchables for this squad, did we? Let me go back real fast. That's a good point. I don't think you have any untouchables, to be honest. Like, the closest would be CD and Taylor, but I'd move them both for the right price. I think you should hold Javonte Williams now after the contract. You might as well hold Sanders with how weak that room is you've got. I'd like to tell you to hold Dallas Goedert because he's about to go into free agency, but I'm not that aggressively holding him. And then as far as drops, you don't really have any easy drops. It's actually quite a small roster, which is why you've got some interesting names on the waiver wire there. But no untouchables, unfortunately, right now with a team like this. But I think that's going to be it for today, y'all. I appreciate you big time. Thanks for hanging out with me, having some fun today as the Combine's on. I'm going to be releasing brand new rookie rankings right after the Combine finishes, so make sure you're looking out for that early next week. I have been scouting a lot of tight ends. I'll have 7 tight ends officially in the next rookie report for you guys. Added, I think, about 6 running backs as well. Going to look at some receivers and quarterbacks. I'm probably not going to go too hard on the quarterbacks this year, honestly. I'll have Ty Simpson in there. I'm gonna scout Ty Simpson today, actually. But you know, just the historical hit rates tell us if you're not going in the first round, it's unlikely you ever hit. You know, Tyler Shuck maybe is the next great, you know, outlier there. But I don't see quarterbacks going outside of Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza. I don't see any quarterbacks going in like the first 3 rounds. So, yeah. What's up, Brizzleton? We're actually logging off for the day, but I appreciate you showing up and being here. That's it for today, y'all. I'll see y'all early next week, and we'll see if we hit the 40 in a week Feb. Appreciate you. We'll see you later.